Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Divinity Within. So, tonight we're talking about the sacred tools for shifting the world. We have the gorgeous Lisa DeMartino and the beautiful Sherri Divband. Welcome, girls, and thank you tonight for being here with me. And thank you for Lisa for setting this up.
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited to be back with you guys. We missed you last time, but Emma graciously stepped in, so that was pretty cool. Oh,
That was really,
Yeah.
it was fun to have Emma last week. And I just realized that somebody forgot to send me the memo that we were supposed to wear pink today for this. So I'm like the oddball out.
okay, you're in the middle, so at least on my screen you are. So
Yeah.
You're looking gorgeous. Yeah, thank you, girls, for the other week, and for Emma for stepping in as well.
yeah, it's
have
it's
her.
good to have the conversation with you guys because it's always very high vibe, and I think it's good not just for us but for the viewers too because they always participate and help share information, and it feels like it's helping everyone. So I love to get together with you guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, same. And thank you to the audience for joining. I can see a few familiar faces. So we've got some Soul Tribe here. And, just even being together and feeling the frequency of the Soul Tribe coming together, I always look forward to doing these shows with you girls. I've noticed through the week little things coming up to do with telepathy and to do with, I guess you would call it like precog. I just noticed that those things have been starting to enhance a lot more. And even last week, and I wanted to check in with you girls to see if you've had different things coming up. I know we were talking backstage about tiredness and fatigue, and I definitely feel like there's things coming in when we look at, solar flares and there's different changes and things. But I've definitely noticed telepathy to the point of where I'm thinking that people are saying things out loud. And I've said to them, so one example was on the weekend, my 18-year-old daughter, because it's legal over here to have a glass of wine or, to drink when you're 18. And she was talking about going to her friend's party and talking about, they need to go and get something. And so we went to the store and I said, "Oh, you're getting a bottle of rosé, aren't you?" And she's like, "I did not say that out loud. How did you, how did you know that?" And I'm like, "I swear I heard you say it out loud." And the same with my partner. The other week, he was telling me how well his store did that day. And I said the exact number of what the store had done financially for that day. And he's, sort of looked at me strange. I'm like, "What?" And
Wow.
he's like, "I did not say that out loud." And I'm like, "I heard it audibly out loud." And I said, "I heard it twice." So I'm just noticing strange things like this, with this world shift that we're going through. Have you guys noticed anything like that?
I
I
have,
hope so.
yeah. I've had with my client sessions, a lot of people have been telling me that they've been connecting more with their family, where they'll be thinking about them, and then they'll call. Like those typical things that happen sporadically, but it's happening freakishly often to the point where they've been bringing it up to me and asking, like, "Is this like, are other people experiencing that?" And I'm telling them the same thing. Yeah, I think it is. Like, people are communicating more telepathically. So what we're seeing here is the shift in real time occurring, and telepathy and connecting, like, energetically with each other, non-verbally, is actually happening, and we're seeing evidence of it, which is actually really cool to be witnessing it as it's occurring, not only for ourselves but for other people. I've definitely seen it. How about you, Lisa?
I was going to say with my family for sure. Like I haven't really had too much interaction with people outside of it, but it's like it's more like we don't even have to talk, and like if Emma has something or Gigi or Johnny, of course, Johnny and I forget it. We can just like look at each other, and it feels like we have that to a degree anyway, but it really feels like it ramped up lately. And even the animals, right? Like, don't you know, like, what they're thinking or what they're wanting, like, before you even usually there's a cue or two that they kinda give you a cue, and then you're like, "Oh, they wanna eat," or, "Oh, they wanna walk." And now it's like it's not even it's like at the same time. It's everybody just stands up, and we're like, you know, "Oh, we gotta go walk the dogs," or whatever, but I have noticed it in that way. And have you guys noticed it also with, um, plants and trees and stuff? Have you noticed, like I feel like they're louder. I was talking to I think I was talking I was watching Jacob, our friend Jacob Ray, and in the chat I was talking about that. But I've noticed it since then. I go sit out in the morning and have coffee outside, and I feel like all the trees and the bushes and plants and stuff, I feel like they're louder. If that makes it. Do you guys notice that?
I think it's probably the same as it's always been. We're just tuning in, just like we're talking about telepathically connecting with each other. I think people are tuning in more to the light language of nature, and we are just connecting more authentically than we have before. So we're hearing what has always been. And that's why animals can hear so much more than us, because they are so trained to tap into all of their senses. And because they're less verbal and vocal, they tap in more to their hearing and their version of their third eye. I mean, they have a third eye like we do, but for dogs, it's a little bit goes beyond that. And so they're always hearing stuff we don't hear. But now I think we're tuning in, and we're to a whole new depth of hearing as well. So again, the telepathy, the advanced hearing, I would say, or tuning into higher densities is all part of this transition period.
Yeah, I agree. I think that makes so much sense. And it's just funny because, like you said, of course, it's probably been going on and we're just completely unaware of it. But it's like, going to the, what does he say? Even when we were grounding yesterday, it felt immediately strongly. Yes, we went to just kind of go put our feet in grass because we don't have any like right around us. So we have to kind of go to it. And as soon as we got there, we both looked at each other and was like, wow. He was like, was that immediate for you? I'm like, yes. So it's just interesting how everything seems like it's like turned up.
Yeah, I feel like like you girls were saying, it's that feeling if it's always been there. So it's almost like there's just a veil lifting, and it feels like a re-remembering of senses and different ways that we've worked, not just in this lifetime, but past and parallel lifetimes too. I'm noticing in my sessions a lot more of other versions of self really stepping in and really trying to, I guess, enhance our abilities. I had another thing happen last night, more in terms of like the precog side of things, and it was so weird. So my partner was coming home from doing night shift side of things, and there was this audible kind of thought of, oh, he's going to turn the key in the lock in a minute. I didn't even hear his car or anything like that. 2 seconds later, it's like the key in the lock, him coming through the door. And then I had this awareness that, okay, now my cat's going to come in and open the door, and she's going to sit on this exact spot behind my knees, like if I'm all snuggled up. She came and did that, and it was like a series of a few things just happening one after the other. And I know there's been periods of time when I was younger where, I could be driving and predict the color of the car outside, like what house, or that there'll be, a certain amount of cars on the street or people. And I was trying to think of how do I get myself into that conducive space of where that just happens organically? Because when it's happened, it's just been spontaneous. And I was thinking there was a heightened state of feeling the air or like the plasma energy around me. And then it was almost like it bubbled, or I felt it in my field, and it came in as a sense of knowing. And then it sort of happened in the physical. So I'm trying to like reverse engineer, like how do we get into that space of where we're doing it all the time? And all I can feel is that it's really connected to do with the plasma and the quantum field. We're psychically picking it up in our aura, and then I guess we're having that cognitive awareness of it.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Go ahead, Sherri.
No, I was just gonna say, when, like, okay, I don't know if you guys know if this has happened to you, but let's say two people are watching two different TVs in the same house, but they're on the same channel, and one person is clearly ahead. For whatever reason, the speed is faster. So like the living room TV is like maybe 10 seconds ahead of the upstairs TV. So you could hear like the delay, right? You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
I feel like our souls have the capability, because we go outside of time for a second, where we can bird's eye view things that are about to happen, because we are 10 steps ahead from a soul level. And then physicality just takes a little bit of time. And that's why we have these premonitions. And what your Solreta is tapping into is like, she's already seeing things occurring, but now physically she's like, oh, I got to catch up now. Yeah. And we have always we always do that. But it's, again, another example of, are we kind of cognitively tapping into that, or are we just not noticing? Deja vu and like all these other things are other examples. So I just think these are great. These are great things to bring up, because they're all little clues as to what densities are we connecting to, and what timelines we're in.
Yeah. I think too, when you're talking about soul and how you do that, what I noticed was I was talking to, and right now his name is leaving me. I did a interview on with him, but he has a very different name. Anyway, he's a remote viewer, and he was saying that one time he had remote viewed with a like a reptilian, and the reptilian was kind of jeering at him because he was saying that basically we don't have the ability to focus anymore and to really hone in on our abilities, like he was remote viewing, but he was saying, like, kind of jeering at him about it, and was saying, we did this to you, like with the phones and the all the stuff, the distractions, you can't even focus in, you can't do this stuff. So he said that one of the things he got, like, because this guy was talking to him the way he was, this reptilian, he said that he was thinking, okay, I'm going to do this and I'm going to do it so well. And what he noticed was that we're always trying to, when we're trying to focus in and meditate or focus to do any kind of abilities, we're always trying to clear our head and clear all the stuff out of our head. And what he noticed was he could expand farther out when he didn't try to do that, when he saw himself in fields and he pushed himself out beyond those boundaries, where he would allow himself to move past it. And he said it much better than I am. I'm kind of fumbling it, but I tried to do that when I was visualizing or seeing things. And I noticed that I get the farthest and I see the most when I can not worry about quieting it and just move out past it. Like, watch myself almost just like in the field, oh, I'm out of the field, I'm past the field, and to do that. So I think that's what we're doing. And it makes sense because it's expansion. Yeah. Aziz. Yes. Thank you, John. That's exactly what it was. Aziz Brown, Courtney Brown's son from, what is it? I'm sorry. I have like.
Well, what you're experiencing, Lisa, is another example, is forgetfulness. We have a joke in my house right now that I can't remember anything, and I'm usually like the elephant in the house. I remember everything. I'm the record keeper of, like, actually on this date you said this, and they're like, oh my God, Mom, stop. But now I'm like, I don't remember that. I don't remember this word. I can't. It's like amnesia. Yeah, farsight. Yeah.
Farsight. Thank you, John.
That's another layer of, this is another example of tuning into higher frequencies. Our cloud gets full, and we can't hold space for all of the words, all of the information. So it's harder to pick up that file when we need it in that moment. We're like, oh, it's not right there anymore. And now I got to like search the memory bank for it. And that's another example of what you're talking about.
Yeah.
And that's an interesting synchronicity, what you were saying about, whether it's stretching consciousness out or stretching the aura out. In the new moon event that I ran the other day for Soul Alchemy Potions, that was the meditation that we were working with. I was just thinking, I'm like, oh, I wonder if that's connected, because we were really, in this state of laying in that field of nothingness and really just feeling that plasma energy around, and, sort of just feeling, I guess, where we're not separate from that. And yeah, I wonder if that's connected to do with it too.
I think so.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm stewing over here because I missed it again. So you got to start calling me and reminding me that I forget. I'm sorry. Anyway, go ahead. I'll move on.
Oh, no, that's okay. The other thing I was thinking too, when all this was going on the last couple of days and last night, was, okay, if this is in the field and I'm cognitively sensing this stuff happening, and it seems to be like what Sherri was saying, that it's like the two TVs synchronizing, where, one's just a little bit ahead of the other. And I was thinking, well, okay, we know that we can project things out into that field. or out into that plasma quantum field consciousness. So I was wondering, whilst in that state of where I'm picking things up precognitively, is that a really good time, do you think, to broadcast or to send the signal out? So I'm thinking of playing around with that. I'll have to report back when we do the next show as to how it's going. But what do you notice? Is there any tools or techniques that you girls use for, putting your thoughts out there to harness and bring them in? I know for me, mind movies, they tend to work the best when it comes to manifestation or to affecting things in the field. And then I'll be sitting in that experience going, oh, this is exactly, the airline ticket, or it's exactly the color of lighting in the room that I thought it would be at the conference that, I manifested. And yeah, do you guys have any techniques for harnessing that?
Go ahead,
You
Sherri.
go ahead, Lisa, because for me,
Okay.
everything just froze, and I didn't hear the last 2 minutes of Soul talking, so I didn't catch any of it. Like I did, my screen just went black.
Okay. No, for me, honestly, I'm happy to hear your tools because I'm finding, I was telling you girls before the show and stuff, I haven't been feeling great. And, Sherri was saying we can get into that a little bit too, at what some of these reasons may be for that. But I'm feeling like, I need to expand my toolkit and expand out a little bit in how I'm doing it, because it seems like when I'm able to connect, which I'm finding a little more difficult than it's been for me in the past, it's usually when I have gone to great lengths to kind of go through a process of relaxing myself and getting myself out of kind of my head and doing, which is a longer process than it's ever been for me. So I'm happy to hear, your thoughts on that and kind of what tools you guys use, because my staple stuff that I was doing before isn't working the same way for me. So it's a lot of extra effort, and I can do it, and I can expand out, and I can do that. I kind of it feels like more of a push initially to get myself into that field of awareness, to get myself out and open into that space. It's like once I'm there, I'm okay, but to get myself into that space, I've noticed is it's a whole process now. So yeah, I'm excited to hear any ideas that you have on how you do that. And then just to recap for Sherri, you were saying that mind movies are kind of what you use.
Yeah, I guess, to project out what it is that I'd like to harness in the field or to manifest. So I was just saying, like, holding that vision, holding that intention, and really, whether it's seeing or feeling, and it's a multi-sensory thing. The more I can immerse my senses and sort of feel myself in that moment being there, I find that I then later end up in that exact same situation, and I'm feeling and re-experiencing, and there's always that joy and smile that comes across, because it's like, oh, this is exactly how I saw it, like with the airline ticket, or another one, just colored lighting that was at a conference that ended up manifesting. So yeah, but I do keep feeling it's all connected to do with the field, and what you were saying, Lisa, too, around getting out of the mind. I feel the more that I can feel my body not have a separation between, my aura and then connecting into the field, I can kind of drop out of the mind a lot faster and then step into that state of drawing or attracting things to me. So yeah, I guess, Sherri, to summarize it, we're talking
thank
about.
you, because I think it might be my internet. I keep getting kicked out or something, or I hear half of what you guys are saying. I wonder if it's just me or anybody else is having problems. But I heard everything you just said that time, so that was helpful. Now we're on the same page. So I think I've been seeing a lot of that as well. And I think people are. I think everything is all about intuition based. That's why it's so important for people to do the self work, the inner work, and the healing, and rely less and less on healers and other people to tell them what to do, because a lot of people are second guessing themselves. And the more we tune into our needs, energetically, physically, mentally, all of those things, the more we start to discern and notice old practices are not working like they used to. Even for me. So for example, the way I used to protect myself, I'm noticing isn't working anymore. I've noticed those techniques were not working anymore. I was still being attacked psychically, or I was still feeling, negative energy trying to bombard me at certain times. And so I was like, why is this occurring? Why are these things not working anymore? Well, a couple of things. The lower astral realm, they're getting more creative, and they're pushing the boundaries more than they have before. A lot of them are not playing by our free will. The rules, the metaphysical rules of the laws of the universe they're not playing by the rules. So they are not they're not listening to our I do not consent anymore a lot of the time. So it's getting a little tumultuous, and it can be taxing on people. So you have to continue to expand and reinvent. And that's where this is why our right brain is so important, because I'm not going to people don't have the time to sit there and Google or read a bunch of books like, okay, this didn't work. Please, someone tell me what else to try. Like, in the moment, you need to know. So instead, we use our intuition, our right brain, our creative side to tap it and say, okay, hold on a second. How can I change this or tweak this a little bit, so that that side doesn't see this shift or this change or this new thing that I'm doing and catch them off guard. So you kind of have to be on your toes a little bit. And the same goes with the tools in your toolbox. As we progress and we shift in frequency, we might go out of resonance with a tool that used to work for us. And now that tool is like, hold on a second, that's not even working for me anymore. And we have to continuously shift and evolve. And again, it's really intuitive based, and what works for me, I might tell Lisa, this is what I do all the time. And then she's like, that didn't really work for me. It just means that it's a different frequency. And so Lisa needs to explore a little bit further until she finds what works for her. And we don't give up, and we just keep building. And sometimes it can be just a little bit like tweak to the right or tweak to the left. It's not even a whole big thing. It's just like, all right, Sherri told me to take this step and this step, but when I got to this step, it didn't feel right. So I just did this thing instead. There you go. It doesn't have to be complicated. What I've noticed, we have the ability with instant healing right now, is things are easier than they used to be. So it's different. The process used to be longer, and we had more protocols, more things to do. Now it's less and more simplified, and people are not thinking that it's that easy. They're like, it can't be that easy. So there's also a reversal in your mindset of how we approach it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
Yeah. I'd love to hear some of your tips. Oh, sorry.
No, good.
I'd love to hear some of Sherri's tips for adjusting, because I find I do a frequency shifting. So I'll either pick a color or a visualization of what my frequency is like, and then I'll pick a different shape or move it about 2 octaves. And I find that it's like changing your IP address in terms of if there's any negativity trying to hook in or trying to like scout about and sense. What do you feel is working best for you at the moment, Sherri?
So exactly what you just said. I keep telling people, create your own channel instead of raising your frequency, since these lower astral entities and AI and technology have advanced. So now they know how to tune into higher frequencies. So it's not just as simple as, oh, we just raise our frequency, because now they have raised their ability has now been, they can tune into higher frequencies now. So now it's a little bit harder. So what I've been guiding people to do, and what I do, is I tune into my own frequency. Exactly what you said. So I shift it constantly, like an IP address is constantly changing. So the way I look at it is, I visualize myself as like I have these crystals hanging, these, what are they called? Hanging in my windows. And as the light reflects it, it changes like a prism. I can't think of the name right now. And I visualize myself. Yeah, like a sun catcher. Yeah. And I visualize myself like that, where I'm this crystalline structure, and all the time I'm moving and rotating. So the sun, like the sun, for example, is constantly hitting me, and the frequency is changing, and it's like a prism. So it's constantly like I'm constantly moving, and you can never catch me. And I've instructed some clients to try that, and they said that it worked really well. It's just you're never stagnant. You're never tuning into one frequency. It's constantly changing, and it's almost like you become invisible to the spectrum, to the 3D astral entities. You can't be found. You're offline almost.
Yeah, I've seen them like this. It's like they're blind, trying to actually physically search for you or search for that frequency signature. And also, claiming sovereignty and just saying, I do not give permission. I'm a sovereign being of light is a really good statement as well. I now destroy all contracts or agreements or anything that may be connecting me with some of these entities or energies.
Yeah, and I like that you said that, because despite the fact that I just said that some old things aren't working, I still say it. I still say, I like the other night, just specifically a couple nights ago, I was in bed and I woke up at 2, 3 in the morning, and I sleep with a mask on because my husband has this habit of sleeping with the TV on, but he turns the volume down. He needs light. I can't sleep with the light, so I have the mask on. And I woke up and I felt something near me, and I wasn't going to take my mask off. I didn't need to see what it was, but it was not good. And I was like, oh, there's something really nasty standing next to me right now. And I could almost feel the energy of the breath coming off of this thing. And I haven't felt that way in a long time. In my house, generally, I do a really good job clearing, but sometimes it's just they're shadow beings that just pass by quantum space. Has nothing to do with your home, has nothing to do with anything you did or didn't do right or wrong. It's just quantumly, they just happen to pass by you at that exact moment, and then you get their attention somehow. And so that, I believe, is what happened. And I was like, okay. And I immediately did what I always do, is I said, I do not consent to this entity connecting to me or anyone in my family is not welcome in this space, our sacred space. And then I called the animal kingdom. And I always do. And I immediately, I said, I call upon the animal kingdom at this time to clear this entity out of my space. And within seconds, it was gone. And I just visualized that the animals I asked that they just stay the rest of the night. And probably that night I forgot to call on them, because generally every night before I go to bed, I ask the animal kingdom to watch my family and all quantum space that we're connected to, and protect us in the astral, the physical, everything. And I think that night was one of those nights that I just forgot, and I did it though in the moment, and they left. That whatever it was gone. So don't forget to call on the animal kingdom. I will never stop saying that, because they are powerful. People don't think about animals as powerful beings, but they are so eagerly willing and wanting to help us. But just like the angelic realm, they abide by our laws of free will, and they won't intercept unless we ask. Now, sometimes they will, if it's to our detriment and we really need intervention. That always will occur for us. But most of the time, they need us to ask. They're there waiting.
That's a beautiful technique. Thank you.
Yeah, that's really cool. I like that. And I have, since I've met you now, I have called on the animal kingdom before. And you're right. Like, you can feel the immediate shift. It's like instantaneous. So it's a good thing to remember. And I never thought of that before I heard you say it. And it's so powerful. It's a good one. It's a good one to use for sure.
Actually, we could use this as a segue to talk about what our actual animal companions are doing to support us right now, because that's one of the topics that I wanted to get into is, and I just did a video recently, like a short on my channel, about why are so many animals departing, because unfortunately there are a lot. I mean, I can't count how many clients that I have had sessions with, or friends that I know, that lost their animals in the last 6 months. Some were healthy, young, no pre-existing conditions, literally just gone one day. Like, they got sick and they went to the vet and they didn't come home, type of things. So what's going on? What I am seeing is that they are, because we are in this heightened, like 11th hour of this spiritual war, and these timeline wars are occurring, and these astral entities are naughty little things, and they are not abiding by the laws of free will, and they are doing really tricky things to hijack our minds. The animals are really stepping it up and working overtime in the physical sense, because they are here to support domestic animals specifically. I'm talking about right now. They come in to support us, to protect us, to help us heal, do so many things. And right now they're taking on a lot more because they're escalating. They're leveling up to combat the escalation of negative frequencies and bandwidth and things like that. And unfortunately, some of that is resulting in their departure because they're saving us from something that we aren't aware of that's occurring, and they're able to take it with them. And so what I tell people is, try not to mourn their loss as a loss, and just celebrate them, and just sit in your heart with gratitude, thanking them for what they did for you, so that we don't fall into the vibration of guilt, depression, sadness, because then their sacrifice is less meaningful, because then we dip into that lower frequency, which is what they were trying to protect us from in the first place.
Yeah. There's a lot of people even in the chat that are talking about that they recently lost their animals too. It's a difficult thing to think of. I think we're also conditioned to think of it as, in a certain way as like sad, and, with your animals and stuff. And, you talking about that in one of your talks at the conference really helped me to kind of process some of that, because I went without having an animal for over a decade, because I had 2 beagles and I had a cat, and I lost them all in the same year. They were all senior, animals. I think my dogs were, I don't know, at least 13 to 15 years old, and they were rescues. And my cat was 13 years old, and an indoor-outdoor cat. So anyway, I lost them all within the span of a year. The dogs a couple months apart, and then the cat in the same year. And I was just like so heartbroken, and it was so hard. And to feel that kind of vulnerability and emotion and everything, that I was just like, I am never putting myself through that again. Like, it was so painful. And they tried, the kids would be like, can we please have it? Like, no, we're not doing it. No. And then, it was kind of like the universe saw to it was happening anyway, because one of my sons and his fiance at the time, she got brain cancer, and they needed me to take on Dobby for them, because they weren't able to. They were like living at the hospital, and it wasn't fair to him. They had an apartment. So at any rate, the universe made sure that I came back. And under any other circumstances, I don't know if I would have done that, but because it was the situation, I kind of left myself open. And now here we are sitting in this house with like 5 animals, but he was the doorway, and they're all my kids' animals, but that's another story. But, it's funny, but I can look at it differently now, and an appreciation in a different way now, and realizing that, we look at them as our pets and our family for sure, but it's more than that. This is like on a soul level, them coming in and helping and helping us through really difficult times. And I don't know, it kind of solidified that whole relationship that we have. And Emma's convinced that this cat that she's got now, Finn, is that cat that we lost at that time, like reincarnated.
Well, I am seeing a lot of reincarnation, more than I have ever seen. And I've been doing animal communication for like 20 years, and it was much more rare, at least from what I was seeing many, many years ago as compared to right now. They are coming back through like 2-3 times, even like back to back. And I'm like, wow, I didn't even know this was a thing. And clearly they are supporting us, and they have shorter term contracts, and then they come back around, and then they help us again in a different phase, and they'll find their way. They're persistent. So if you say, I'm not going to have any more dogs, I'm done, they'll find their way to you somehow. That you would be surprised the lengths that they go with the universe to make their way back into your life. They get pretty creative, I've seen.
Definitely. We had a telepathic knowing that Lyra was coming into our lives. My gray cat, my son and I talked about, this is the exact sort of type of cat that we would like. And I think it was the day before I got her, and I've just popped some birdseed out this morning. This is a Rosella, this red bird in the background.
I've been watching.
And just even the birds here, you'll get every now and then there'll be birds hanging around, and you'll get this telepathic message of you need to get some birdseed, or you haven't had, birdseed in a while. It's time to put them out, especially from the white cockatoos with the yellow crest. But yeah, with Lyra, there was a direct knowing, even driving to the rescue place, that our baby would be there. And it was interesting. We got there and I talked to the people there and they said, oh, we were supposed to get some rescue cats in. They were supposed to come today, but they've been delayed. They'll be here tomorrow. And sure enough, we went in and it was exactly the same sort of cat that we'd put out for the same sort of personality, because we hadn't actively, been looking, but there was just this feeling of she's going to be there. And she's the most amazing cat. And I've noticed, even if there's certain spots on the property or certain energies within the house, or there's been people here that maybe don't have the highest of frequencies, she'll go and sit like wherever they've been, and she's just like transmuting the energy. And just we joke, we call her the witch's cat, because she just has this way about her, this amazing energy. And she likes to be the baby. So she'll go even sit on strangers, and she just will be this unconditional love that just pours into the house and space. It's beautiful.
It is beautiful. They're amazing. They're so amazing. We love looking at when you post your picture, Sherri, of the animals in your house. They're so cute and funny. That the Doberman, when she does it like really up close with his little nose, and he's so cute, and the cat is so adorable. That Emma's favorite one is the one where cat was in your bed and is like just like you were like, you wrote something about like raise your hand if you see the cat or something. It was so cute. They bring you joy, right? It's just like a blessing to have them in your house.
And these animals, they have a soul journey just like we do. And so I have such a beautiful time connecting with these animals in my animal communication sessions. And just today I had a session with a woman whose dog passed away in 2008. She's still mourning the loss of this dog. And she's one that said she was done, and she'll never have any more dogs because she didn't want to bring any more dogs into this world. And it was a whole thing. And we had a long discussion about that. But the dog was showing me, when I connected to him, a life when he was a Celtic druid. And he was both a druid, male and female, throughout spans of hundreds of couple centuries. And he was a very well-known druid at the time, gave me his name and everything. And she was a Celtic at that time and a student of his. And he was her mentor and teaching her how to connect with nature spirits. And so he came in this lifetime specifically to help her through certain things that she's working through. And came through as her dog, bringing that druid wisdom to help hold space for her. And the reason that he ended up getting sick and passed away ultimately was because he was helping her open her heart and transmute and find her true sense of self and self-worth. But her problem was that she was blaming herself for his death since 2008. And she couldn't move on. And so this animal, I think, was persistent in getting her to talk to me, so that I could relay the message that this was their soul contract, and he is a druid. And he came in for a short period to help her, and they're connected on a soul level from this ancient period where they were together. And he came back through again to be her guide and mentor, just in a different capacity. And there's so much more to it. I don't want to give up too much of this. Obviously, you don't know who she is, but it was just a beautiful story. And it's so interesting to me to see the soul journey of these domestic animals, because people look at them as, oh, they're just a dog. Oh, it's just a cat. And I'm like, no, they have soul journeys just like we do. They're in Lyra, in Pleiades, and all over the galaxies, in other universes. And they have a story too. And they're connected to us in a soul level, in our soul network. And it's so beautiful to see the connection like that I saw today. I just wanted to share that.
I was just getting tingles on my head, on my crown chakra, when you were talking about the connection with the druids. And what an amazing story. And we've had a lot of lambs born all throughout the year at my parents' property. You guys have probably seen photos or videos of us feeding bottles to the little, I would say probably orphans. It's not that the mothers die, but it's sometimes that the mothers just will keep walking after they have the babies and don't feed them. So they're not always the best of moms. So my dad's had to hand raise a couple of lambs over the last year. And so you'll see them in nappies running around the house, or you guys call them diapers. So it's been so interesting to watch these little lambs, and some of them have been running around with, my brother's dog, and they think that they're dogs. And it's interesting because there's this thing of when you return them back to the flock, they're like, I don't know if I'm a dog or a human baby or a lamb. And some of them, the ones that I guess dad is more maybe keeping, are the ones that respond to their name or still, will run up to him, whereas others will kind of amalgamate into the flock. But it's like you see them trying to pretend to be a sheep, and the other sheep are looking at them like, you're not a sheep. So it's been really interesting to have that contact with them and to be part of the sheep world. It's an interesting place.
Somebody had said, Sherri, in the chat back, what about like wild animals and stuff? And they were talking about some that, were like, they had seen like the ones, kind of like on the side of the road that got hit or something like that. I was looking to see if I could find it. But what do you have to say about, those animals?
Are you talking like animals that die? Like
yeah, here it is.
Cars? I mean, I think, this is a complicated question to answer, but wild animals have such a different energy and different soul contract, and they have their own soul journey. They're just as celestial as domestic animals, but in a much different way. Like they're more in harmony with the frequencies of the planet. And so they migrate to open portals, to grid, to protect the land, and to ground and do a lot of things together in harmony with the planet, whereas our animals are more in tune with us, and help us ground and things like that in a different way. So there are a lot of animals that come in oversoul groups, and so it's not just hundreds of elephants are hundreds of souls. It's actually one soul network of an elephant herd. It might be one oversoul that splits into many different aspects or fractals to experience the whole herd as one. And so when you see things like, I hate to use the word roadkill, that just came to my mind, but in Florida, we have it a lot. Almost every day I'm seeing armadillos, turtles, all sorts of iguanas on the side of the road, possums, things like that. And I think that that's just an unfortunate aspect of cohabitation with humans, and there's overpopulation, and it's just an unfortunate event. But the thing about it is that I don't see animals like that going into trauma cycles like we do when we die in trauma. Their souls have a really unique and quick ability to pop out of their bodies moments before they die, so they don't actually experience the trauma. So when I have connected to animals, because I was running one day and I saw a turtle get run over going across the street, and I literally stopped and like had a meltdown. I was crying because I was so upset. And the turtle went, because I think he felt my pain. I'm about to cry just thinking about it. Oh my God, that's so crazy. I heard him come through my heart space at that moment and said, "It's okay. I didn't feel it. I'll come back again. I'll come back again soon." And I was just like, whoa, I didn't even ask for it. I was like distraught. I was like, what are you doing? Like yelling at this guy because he just like ran right over the turtle. I was so upset. And anyways, my point is that they have the ability to pull out of their body moments before they actually endure the trauma, and then they'll just come right back through. So sometimes it's just inevitable with overpopulation and things like that.
And they're so, even the wild animals, I feel like they're so loving and really take the time to kind of show us if we're able to see it too, to reach out to you that way. It reminded me of, you guys remember at the beginning of my book when I was talking about that hummingbird, that baby hummingbird that I had that landed in my hand, and then the mom came in my hand and fed it. So that bird, we ended up having go to a sanctuary, and we named it Pip. because it made the little noises that it made. And anyway, it was in that place for several months, but it wasn't keeping weight on, and there were other little birds there. Eventually that bird didn't make it, and I was distraught because I drove it like over to all the way to Sunrise Mountain, which I don't know if you guys don't live here, but where I'm at, it's far. And to try to get him in this little sanctuary. And long story short, he passed away. But there was a time when, after I found out that he passed away, actually it was right before I found out that he passed away, so it made it even more so. I dreamt of Pip, and I saw Pip bigger. I'm gonna get choked up, but I saw it bigger, but then I saw it little, like when I found it. And anyway, after that, I felt like I was walking and in that neighborhood, in the neighborhood that I lived in right before that, and the tree that Pip fell out of, it was like 3 or 4 hummingbirds started flying around, like around by my face, by my head. Not super, super close. I was like 2 feet, 3 feet, but they were just around. And I was kind of just standing there for a minute, and I closed my eyes, and the breeze came, and it really choked me up because I felt like, I was communicating with his family or something. I'm sorry, I'm so stupid.
No, I was crying about the turtle too, so I have to like.
Yeah, but ever since then, we moved really far away, like 40 minutes away. But when I go sit outside on that little patio, do you know, almost every time, not almost every time, there's at least 1, if not 2, hummingbirds that come, and they come in over there. This is across town. Of course, it's not the same hummingbirds, but I almost feel like it's a real act of like love, because I tried to show love and tried so hard. That's how I receive it. It just seems like, and I thought about that. I was thinking like, wow, animals are so nurturing and loving, even to us, to recognize, if we have the heart and the eyes to see it, that they kind of tried to come back around and communicate with us in some way and show us like, this is love. This is what, we're all here to do, and to kind of be that for each other. But they're so much better at it than we are. But, if you can kind of connect like that, it's a real gift. It's a real gift to animals, from animals.
We've had a lot of roos, kangaroos and wombats that we've been seeing on the side of the road, which is and just, I would say probably maybe 3 to 4 times more than usual. So it's really comforting to hear what you were saying, Sherri, about them popping out moments before. But I think with the hummingbird story, which was such a beautiful story, I remember reading that in your book as well. One of my gorgeous best friends, he was doing an iboga ceremony in South America, so doing plant medicine. And I remember I was having a dream, and I saw this hummingbird come into my vision in my dream, and it was so strong that I woke up and I saw almost like a holographic overlay with my eyes open. And I'm like, oh, he's going into ceremony. And I text him because I said, I'll hold space for you. Even though I'm in Australia, I'll hold space, just setting protection and everything. Because he was quite jet lagged going in, traveling all that way. And he's like, you'll never believe it. We actually just had a hummingbird fly in the room, in the ceremony room, and do sort of like a lap. So I really see them as this beautiful interface in the spiritual domains. And we know that their wings, flap at such a vibration, more that they're kind of vibrating, just like bees, rather than actually sort of flapping. There's a certain frequency of vibration. So I think it's so interesting that you had that interaction with those hummingbirds.
Yeah, it was beautiful. I mean, for me, you can always tell yourself like maybe you're making more into it, but it really felt like, I don't know, like I was interacting with them. It was almost like energetically they knew he wasn't here anymore, and I did, and then I found out. So sorry.
Oh, just getting goosebumps when you talk about him.
Yeah. Okay, when you talk, because I'm gonna get myself together.
Well, maybe we can transition real quick. There's something I wanted to talk about that has come up in some comments in some of the short videos that I've been making, and I wanted to see if anyone else is struggling with this. It was a video. I don't even remember at this point what it was, but the person was saying, how do we show kindness and compassion to people who don't deserve it? because I think this person works in an environment where they're with some really nasty people that are coworkers, and she's kind of like, why do I have to be nice to them? They don't deserve it. Kind of like, how do I handle that? And I thought that was a good question, because ultimately, as much as I like to think everyone is great in the world and pure intent, it's just simply not true, because this is the third dimension, and we do have 3D bound souls, and we do have a lot of 3D interference and astral entities. That means that there are a lot of people that are anchored into 3D and who are not of pure intent and are in the shadow side, usually through ego or some sort of something like that that's anchoring them within it, or trauma. So that means that there are a lot of people in this world that don't really deserve our kindness, because they don't want it. They actually repel it, and they thrive in gossip, in drama. They want people to be upset. They want to get a rise out of us. They don't want people of the light near them. So that's why that they sometimes they don't like us, things like that. And so in those situations, I always tell people, maybe it's best to hold, to create boundaries where you're in those environments. Work wise, it's you just are professional. I always look at it like that. I have a really like easy switch in my brain where I'm like, I can be a professional right now. So I can be surface level nice to people in those environments that I can't control. And I know I'm not going to change them. They're not going to change me. So we just agree to disagree. We have an impasse, but I'm professional towards them in those environments where there needs to be respect and boundaries created. In outside life, you can decide who you want to be friends with and who you don't want to be friends with. But I think it's important right now to just create boundaries and preserve your energy, and not engage. So don't engage with those people, because all they're trying to do is misery loves company is a saying for a reason. People in the low vibrational fields want to marinate themselves in those frequencies, and they want to pull people into those frequencies to play in that energy with them, because that's where they're comfortable. And so I always like when my two youngest fight with each other, and I'm like, he only does that to you because you take the bait every time and you react. If you didn't do that, he would stop messing with you. And same for adults. If you don't take the bait, don't engage, don't argue back with them. Just have these boundaries. And I think if we practice boundaries and like this spiritual protection, but also like clear respect between each other, doesn't mean they're respecting you, but there are ways we can navigate these challenges without going down into their level or their frequency. And a lot of it has to do with creating these boundaries. And so I wanted to see what you guys how you navigate through those sorts of things, or if you're experiencing that.
Yeah, I think this is perfect timing. I'm so glad that you brought up that topic, just to do with what we were saying before, and even with the title of the show, Sacred Tools for Shifting. I'll just grab one of the things that I love is Florida water. So in terms of like the physical aspect of protecting and things, so just using things like this. So like if you are in an office setting, it might just look like you're spraying a little bit of aromatherapy or a little bit of an air freshener. So I do love physical tools like that, as well as dragon's blood. Both these things have a higher frequency vibration against repelling like the negative or helping to clear. And I've seen it physically with this, where people that have demonic possession and things will be so irritated by this. Like if you're burning it in the house, it's almost like they want to run out of the house.
Yeah.
So, having tools like this, and it's interesting, it's usually you more see the ones that have the black, like people that will have the actual demonic takeover, and that are the ones that are more irritated. Whereas like if it's sort of, I guess, a lower level irritation, or I think it was Kentucky Bigfoot said something about like they feed off adrenaline. And so we also need to realize, with these situations with people, or with, certain dynamics and things, say like in an office, is it that they're trying to, as Sherri was saying, with people like trying to bait, Like, are they trying to bait you into feeding them adrenaline or feeding them, anger, sadness? Because quite often you'll see it in gaslighting or narcissistic situations. When you drop into that, whether it's like becoming a victim or drop into where you're all of a sudden angry, you'll sometimes see these people sit back and they're in a little bit of a almost like a drugged out stage because they're getting fed from that energy. So I think it's good to just be aware of it and be a really conscious observer in the situation. Excuse me. I think where it's hard though is, for the people like in that office situation that you were saying too, it's like they're in that battle day in, day out. So this is where you have to, have your words of affirmation or your prayers, use the physical tools, maybe even wear some black tourmaline. I spoke on a show recently about using Herkimer diamond too as a protective shield. So you can actually visualize or use a Herkimer diamond and then visualize that energy shielding your whole aura too. It's almost like this impenetrable psychic shield that keeps you in a higher state or frequency. Because a lot of this stuff is aimed at trying to bring your vibration lower down. How about you, Lisa? Is there different things you're noticing that work?
Yeah. Do you want to answer that question on the thing real quick too?
Oh, this one?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Hold on a sec. So with this one, let me just clear my throat. I'm still in wake up mode. So with Florida water, I'll just read to you what it says on the bottle. So used in purification work to remove negative energies and heavy vibrations, instilling a sense of calmness and peace. So you can actually look up different recipes. I think it has things like citrus and a few other aromatherapy ingredients, but it's also known as kind of like a witch's water too. So it's just meant to be, I guess you could use holy water or things like that. So there's specific intentions. So I do like to buy a Florida water that's pre-made from one of our local magic stores because I know that it's, made in the correct manner. But yeah, it's so interesting to watch how it irritates the demons. They really don't like it. It literally is like it burns them, is the reaction I've seen from having that. So you can pop some of that into your oil burner or diffuser just to constantly have it going in your space. The other thing I've noticed too is frankincense. Sometimes in a burner while you're sleeping creates a cocoon or a blanket of energy around. But I think the other thing too is we need to really eat well. We need to make sure that we're trying to get sleep because it's when you are lower and your guards down in terms of energy and vitality, this is where this stuff's more likely to impact or affect. And I think it's also learning how to regulate your nervous system. Or if you have one of these experiences, okay, what can I do now to get out into nature, to shake it off, or to, and I just saw something falling in the background then look like a little plasma thing. So, we can call on whether it's, our higher guides that love us unconditionally, angelic beings that love us unconditionally, call these sorts of frequencies and things in. The other thing you can do too is project or visualize certain kind of protective geometry around you in your space.
I love all of those techniques.
I do too. I love everything that you guys said, and I agree. I think that for myself, a lot of it is because I have a tendency to start to analyze, and so I'm looking at it and I'm trying to figure out like how we got here, and for me, it's really to kind of stop and to kind of back up and at the end of the day, I can't own it, right? Because it's not mine. So, and what's mine, I will, but the things that aren't, it's just about me. I kind of take a step back and allow people to kind of have their path and look at things the way that they're going to look at it and not feel like I have to fix it or I'm responsible for changing anybody's mind or any of those things. I'm going to be true to me and who I am. And sometimes I make mistakes and sometimes, I don't. But if I do, I'll say I'm sorry and I'm moving on. I'm not going to hold on to it and I'm not going to sit in it. And if somebody else is, hateful or grumpy or mean or whatever, then I just feel like it's not mine. I'm not carrying it. It's yours and I wish you well. Yeah. And that's about as far as that I own it. I can't. I don't know. I don't even put up, I guess, the things to protection or any of those things, because I just feel like I'm not taking it on. That's not mine. That's yours. And I wish you well.
Oh, you just reminded me too. So, and I can see Tennessee Kentucky Bigfoot has the recipe up in the chat as well to do with Florida waters. Thank you for. I couldn't think of the ingredients off the top of my head, apart from the citrus. So, if it is a day in, day out type situation, what I've worked with in the past and what some of my clients have worked with as well is creating a different assumption. So it's thinking or seeing that other person that's maybe causing the chaos in the office dynamic, that they're so happy and grateful that they've like got their dream job, or they're so happy that, they've moved away to a different city or whatever it is. But it's like you want to see them in that higher kind of like excitement, and you want to be like celebrating that too. And it's interesting. I've seen just little miracles happen when working with the law of assumption in that way.
Well, and also people want a reaction out of you. So I think that and this is true at the grocery store or on the road with road rage or anywhere. It's not even just office, where people automatically are like waiting for conflict or some sort of reaction out of people, and they're not expecting kindness. So like one of the things that my kids laugh at me about is when someone's rude to me, or at any time, like in the grocery store or like driving by and like cuts me off or something and like makes a face or whatever. What I do is I act like I know them and I'm excited to see them. So I'm like, hey, and I like wave, and my kids are like, do you know that person? I was like, no, but like they don't know what to do, because they'll look back confused at me like, wait, why is she so happy? And I'm like, hey, and I smile at them. And I laugh because like one, it makes me laugh. So it takes me out of, I'm not connecting to your energy, but it like breaks like this thing that they're in, and people are not expecting you to do that. Like, and it's people, I highly recommend people try it. Or if someone's really mean or nasty to you and they're saying mean things, just like be super, like be nice to them. And I'm telling you, it works every time. Like they literally freeze. They don't know what to say. They're like, like,
Johnny does that. Johnny does the same thing. It's so funny when people get mad or they honk at him or whatever. He'll put his hand up. He'll wave. He smiles.
Yep. I do that all the time.
Yeah, it's so funny. It does work. He looks great. I'm just like always like, John, please, like stop. He'll be like overly.
So embarrassed. I am so embarrassing to my kids. I can't even tell you the level of embarrassment that I bring to them, and that also makes me happy. It also makes me laugh because I'm just like, you just wait. Oh my gosh, I love embarrassing them.
Oh, and that's so funny.
Yeah,
that's a good question. So I never say anything I never say anything in absolute certainty, because there is no such thing. But for the most part, animals do not get possessed for the most part. And that is because they maintain a much higher density of consciousness and frequency than we do. So it's really hard for them it's really hard for entities to possess them. However, when an animal is severely abused and they do become fragmented due to trauma and abuse, like I don't even want to give examples. I'm sure you guys could come up with those on your own. I don't even like to put those images out. In those worst case scenarios, that it's a breeding ground, like one of you or we mentioned earlier, where entities love to feed off of that. It makes them high, the energy that they gives off. So when the animals are really angry or agitated or sad or traumatized, it will attract like swarms, like hornets of shadow beings and then entities, and then they will try to influence the animal. And so a lot of times what happens, instead of being possessed, they are influenced and agitated, like poke the bear. And then the animals react and bite people because the entities are provoking them, and they're not being completely taken over. And I think on rare occasions, in severe cases, the entity can make its way in the body. But that is on the pretty rare. So
yeah, that's how I see it with people too. I don't know. It makes sense with animals. It looks like they're more, when you see that stuff, right? It looks like it's more in the field, not necessarily one or two people I've seen something actually go inside of and then kind of pop right back out. But most of the time when I'm looking at it, I'm seeing stuff in their field, almost like you can see that auric field, and then there's like gray or cloudiness or something there, or spots. I've even seen it look like a little bit of a thorn. Do you find it that way too, Soul, where it looks like it's kind of sitting by them, but right outside of them?
Yeah. So I guess like oracally, I'll see it sometimes as a gray shadow attached near the gates of consciousness acupuncture points at the back of the head. Other times you'll see it. So say you're at an airport or in a shopping center and people walk past, you'll see that gray cloud attached to the head. And it's interesting because sometimes you'll see people in an angry mood and they'll have this little cloud, or they'll just sort of, you'll just feel that something's off energetically or vibrationally. And quite often when you look clairvoyantly, the little clouds attached or the little entity. So yeah, sometimes like in our household, we'll have that little joke, if someone's in a bad mood, it's like, oh, you've got like a little shadow or a little cloud attached. You might want to like go clean that.
Yes.
So we can joke about it. It's kind of like a normal thing to talk about in our house now. But yeah, no, I've seen it to, where eyes will shapeshift and things. And I think that's where you'll usually have, and I reckon we should do a show on this because it's such like an in-depth and there's so many different ways. So you can have it where someone actually comes in. Now, this is very, very rare, but there'll be like a dark soul that actually comes in. So I know we talk a lot about, most people are born pure and, babies are loving and things like that. But sometimes you will actually have where there's darker energies and things that are around in that time of conception, and they'll use certain people as a portal to do their work on earth. And that's where I've seen that they'll constantly have black eyes, or there'll be like the inconsistency or incongruency, like we've talked about some of the royals in the past, the smile and the eyes don't match up. And then you'll also have some that are like maybe had a trauma, and so they'll have different things jump in and jump out of them. I know Jerry Mazinski, who Allison's interviewed as well, he talks about MACE method being one of the best practices for clearing these old identities. It's the old identities that have the association that the entities will link in. So if we get rid of the old identity and collapse that, there's no longer like a portal or a doorway for these entities to come in and attach to. So I think that's one of the, the good practices as well. But I definitely think we should do maybe like a psychic combat show.
I think that's a great idea because we could spend another hour talking about all of this. And I think we should do that because there's so much I could say right now. And I'm like, we should just do a whole other.
Let's do a show.
Maybe the next one.
Yeah.
Okay. That sounds great. Yeah, we're over the hour mark, and I know Soul's got another show coming up here soon. So
maybe
is there anything you guys wanted to say that you wanted to do to wrap up?
I just want to say thank you for having me. I always love catching up with you girls, and there's always such interesting information and takeaways and such good reminders.
Yeah, I love having this get together with you guys too. It's always so helpful. I feel like for myself, I walk away from this feeling so much better. So I hope that that's translating to everyone that's watching as well, and that they're taking something away that's positive too. I enjoy just spending time with you guys. So thank you.
Yeah. Well, and now I feel like that question was put on the screen, so I can't ignore it. So now I have to address it. What's your definition of shadow work? You can't put it up there and then we not say anything. So this is also something that could take a while to go into. But to make it simple, I think we all have a shadow side. Every single one of us. It's all about duality. All of us have ego. All of us have a shadow side. So it's about keeping the ego in check, keeping the shadow side in check. The more traumas we endure, the more we become fragmented and the more our shadow side. So when I was a child, a young woman, not a child, but teen into early 20s, I was a very negative, dark person because I let my shadow side take over due to my traumas. And I became a very conflict, like ready to fight anybody. And I probably had a lot of dark entities around me kind of latching on. So the shadow work is simply going and doing the inner work and figuring out what the root cause is of that. Why are you connecting more to the shadow side and trying to work through those traumas by clearing, by surrendering, by forgiving yourself. So for me, I had a lot of self-forgiveness to go through instead of me blaming everyone else for everything that was wrong in my life. the guy who molested me, the people who kidnapped me. It was everyone else's fault. So, you know, I was just innocent. But what I needed to do was take the time to reflect and forgive myself for the things that, like my role in all of it. So I think shadow work is just unraveling the layers of the trauma, your reactions to it, your role you've played, the mistakes you've made, forgiving yourself, forgiving others, because you don't know why you have soul contracts with certain people to be your saboteur. So it's all about becoming friends with your shadow side, becoming friends with your ego, so that you don't so it doesn't control you. So we could go into that again in another show, but like I think that I just wanted to at least address that.
Yeah, thank you for doing that. I try to pop up all the messages, the things. So if we missed anything else, you guys, next time we come back, we'll definitely hit the rest of them. And so I'm just sending love to everyone and thanking you all for coming and hanging out with us today. And we'll schedule another one soon and hit some of those topics Sol was talking about, because they're great subjects.
Yeah, thanks for joining us, everybody. It was really fun.
Okay, guys, we'll see you later. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.